Welcome back. In today's adventure, we're here in South Bend, Indiana, home of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But that's not why we're here. We're here at the South Bend History Museum that houses three great attractions: the History Museum, Studebaker Museum, and Copshaholm. In this adventure, let's explore Copshaholm. Are you ready? Ready to go off the beaten path and check out an amazing mansion? Let's head in the footsteps of history. Follow me. Let's head into the carriage house that was part of Copshaholm. Copshaholm is a 38-room, Romanesque Queen Anne style mansion built for J.D. Oliver and his family between 1895 and 1896. This mansion was named Copshaholm after the Scottish village of the family's patriarch. The Oliver family lived here for 72 years. I often wonder when I tour these mansions the story of the families that called these places home and what led them to the level of success. Today I will tell you the story of immigrants in the 1830s that headed to the shores of America penniless and reached the heights of opulence. Let's talk about James Oliver and his family.
All the stones came from the state of Indiana. The pillars in the veranda come from the state of Vermont. If you look at all the leaded glass in the house, it's Tiffany glass from New York, from the Tiffany Corporation, and the tile on the roof is Spanish clay tile.
You can see there's a black cat on top of the roof, and the document said since they were Scottish, a black cat is for good luck, so that brought good luck to the home. As we make our way to tour this house and we make our way on this beautiful porch, out there is West Washington Street, and Copshaholm is located on 808 West Washington Street. Many industrialists lived along this stretch. A mere 2 blocks from here at 620 West Washington Street, the Studebakers had their mansion, Tippecanoe Place. James Oliver was born on August 28, 1823, in Liddesdale, Scotland, the youngest of 9 children. In 3 waves, the family would immigrate to the United States. In 1835, James, at 12 years old, with 3 of his siblings and his parents, began their journey to America. They arrived in New York, boarded a steamboat on the Hudson River to Albany. From Albany, they embarked on a 17-mile railroad trip aboard the famous locomotive called the DeWitt Clinton. This railroad was the first railroad, the Mohawk and Hudson Railroad. They arrived in Schenectady, New York, and the final leg of their journey to reunite with their family, they headed for the farm of James Goodwin in Geneva, New York. All the furnishings here at Copshaholm are original. Let's start our tour in what is called the morning room, and this is where the ladies would come to plan their day. In the cabinet in the corner, they stored the ornate ivory figures. The History Museum has great resources and videos called Curiosities of Copshaholm on their website if you want to learn more about Copshaholm. In the library, which was one of the Olivers' favorite rooms, they would spend time in this room reading books. As you can see, these elaborate mahogany bookshelves which curved with the outside wall. They would also play games and discuss issues of the day. It is hard to see in this room since it's so dark, but this room houses this beautiful mahogany fireplace, the most elaborate in the whole mansion.
Joist right on the table, right directly above the table, there's like a little faded indentation there. That's where a chandelier used to be. So Catherine, what she did was she had all the chandeliers in the house taken out, and she had them replaced with these wall sconces right here. She had them replaced because she thought the chandeliers made the room too dark. These wall sconces are Czechoslovakian crystal.
They would move multiple times as a family in search for inexpensive land. The Oliver family would end up in Mishawaka, Indiana in December of 1836. His father died shortly after on September 6, 1837, which led a young James in search of work to help the family financially. He would hold many jobs that gave him the skills he would need later in life. He would meet and fall in love with Susan Doty and get married in 1844. Their son J.D., James Doty Oliver, was born on August 2nd, 1850, whose house we are touring now. It is here in Mishawaka James Oliver contributed his start when he worked at the St. Joseph Iron Company, which made plows as well as castings. He would go on to say the St. Joseph Iron Company was unable to meet demand for producing the 100 tons of plates for the railroad. James contracted with the company to produce those 100 tons of plates. He completed the plates, and he stated it almost killed him. But this contract and the earlier purchase of a lot in Mishawaka for $75, where he built a house and rented it, were two events which gave him his start. Now let's make our way up these stairs into the second floor. Let's get an aerial view of JD's office we just toured. It's one of the coolest features in the house.
Alright, so this right here, this is the entrance to the second floor, and at the window, the ventilation window inside of JD's office, that was there for the fireplace. So the fireplace in JD's office is the largest one in the house. It can fit a log up to 5 feet. It was a wood-burning fireplace, so to make sure that the heat carried throughout the rest of the house, they added that window so it could kind of, flow through the rest of the home.
When James Oliver was just 32 years old in 1855, he and Harvey Little each purchased a quarter interest in a foundry for sale in South Bend. They would buy out the other half of the business and name it South Bend Iron Works. James was the molder, designer, salesman, and bookkeeper.
We're going to go out to the portico share door. So if you want to follow me this way. Yeah, so this right here, this is the master bedroom.
While at South Bend Iron Works, he would continually experiment with plow designs. Plows of that time period were all horse-driven, and the biggest issue with plows at this time, they would constantly break or get stuck in the mud. Oliver would come up with a plow that fixed these two main problems. He filed for a patent in 1857. The chilled plow was born. Chilled by definition is a casting process that created durable iron mold boards and shares that retained a smooth surface during heavy use.
So right over here, this is the boys' room. Now the reason why the boys' room is pink is because at the time, pink was a boy's color and blue was a girl's color. Oh wow. Pink was a boy's color because it was derivative of red, indeed fiery, passion, masculine, testosterone. So that was why pink was associated with men, and blue was deemed soft and delicate, so it was deemed feminine for women. The swap happened after the First World War. Men started coming back in navy blue uniforms, and they started associating masculinity with blue, and pink just got pushed over to the girls.
Shortly after his invention of the chilled plow in 1858, they would move from Mishawaka to South Bend to be closer to the factory. Their business was booming, and during this period and into the Civil War, now the company went through great expansion, and this was the period when a young J.D. Oliver would start working for the company. J.D. would be elected treasurer of the company in 1866 at just 16 years old, and then he would become director at age 20. South Bend Iron Works would produce products for many other companies, such as the famous Studebaker Company, Singer, yes, the Sewing Machine Company, and even Notre Dame for 70 columns that would hold up their golden dome. They would also produce 6 fluted columns for St. Mary's College, 2 iron columns for Schuyler Colfax, the future vice president, brackets and vestibule corners for the city jail, and sewer crates for the city. It is here in the Oliver's ballroom they would hold their lavish parties. If they held bigger parties, however, they would use the Oliver Hotel's ballroom. Imagine for a minute the Olivers and their friends dancing on this very ballroom and listening to music. James Oliver in his lifetime would register 45 patents. He would come up with another patent in 1868, which caused a surge in sales. This patent was for a large plow that required draft animals to pull. The company was producing over 300,000 plows a year, and by 1878, they were producing only plows. The company would adopt the saying, "Plow maker of the world." The company would start to see competition from companies like John Deere and International Harvester, who produced riding plows. James Oliver would die on March 2nd, 1908. The J.D. Oliver era would begin when he became president after his father's death. Many debate whether the company would have become as successful as it did without J.D.'s financial advice to his father. J.D. was involved in many public works. He helped his father fund the Oliver Opera House, Oliver Hotel, and City Hall. He served as Indiana's Director of War Services during World War I. He was also the director of the Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Chicago, St. Louis Railroad. He was the director of the First National Bank of Chicago and the director of the Chase National Bank of New York. He would also serve as a trustee for Purdue University for 18 years. J.D. Oliver knew that the Oliver Chilled Plow Works needed to offer a full range of farming equipment to remain competitive. With the only viable option, the Oliver Chilled Plow Works would cease to exist on March 30th, 1929, when J.D. formed the Oliver Farm Equipment Company, merging with American Seeding Machine Company and the Mackenzie Potato Machinery Company. Let's fast forward a little bit. J.D. would pass away on August 6, 1933. Joseph Jr. and Susan Catherine would live in Copshaholm after their father's death.